There are a lot of people concerned with the use of therapeutic testosterone and increased risk of various diseases. Like you see sometimes in the media, people who are saying, hey, testosterone use is linked with cardiovascular disease or increased risk of cancer or hair loss or prostate cancer and things like that. So what is your take on these claims, and what do you feel the science really says about the use of testosterone and risk for these various conditions? Is it all nonsense that's been overblown, or can you kind of help separate what are the legitimate concerns from the ones that have been false claims?
This question is regarding therapeutic testosterone and the claims from the media as to whether or not it causes diseases or increases risk factors for, say, diseases of the prostate, diseases of the vascular system, cancer, et cetera, what have you. So the truth, and again, I'll always defer, as I have throughout this podcast, to my book, which is the TOT Bible. Anyone can get it on Amazon, or you can also, of course, send me and my team an email, which is contact@trtrevolution.com. We'll send you a copy of the book. I'm actually working on the next book, which is called TOT Decoded, The Biohacker's Guide to Utilizing Therapeutic T, which is actually going to be much smaller, shorter, streamlined, and even more relevant than the last book was. But anyway, to answer your questions, most of the information that is found in the media today, in the common perception of people, that this therapeutic testosterone causes all these terrible afflictions, diseases, whatnot, is absolutely patently false. Let's go one by one. So with cardiovascular disease, which is known in the medical community or the clinical space as CVD, it's actually the inverse, which is true. And all of the research now, and again, in the book, you can also look to Dr. Abraham Morgentaler, who's done an amazing job of cataloging all of the research. There's so much overwhelming research that shows that when there's an actual cardiovascular issue, it's normally due to a shortage or a deficiency of testosterone as men are aging. All of the research and the studies that a lot of the attorneys in the past, like in 2014 and 2015, that were used to show that men were at higher risk by using therapeutic testosterone were actually done in compromised patient population groups. So that was the Tom trial. There's some other ones out there, but these have all been completely dispelled now. So basically, utilizing therapeutic testosterone is cardioprotective. Okay, that's number one. In regards to the prostate, same thing applies. All of the research that is the most recent and modern and up-to-date research, there's actually a study that just came out in the last week that's mind-blowing. It was sent to me by one of my doctors, showing the modalities of using therapeutic testosterone while men have actually stage 1 cancer is becoming very widespread. But anyway, the old misperception or misnomer that you could not use, or that testosterone or therapeutic testosterone caused prostate cancer, is 100% patently false. Again, I refer you to my book. And again, Dr. Abraham Morgentaler, he's done massive amounts of research. There's other men, great doctors and researchers that have proven this, but it's actually the same thing. It's the inverse. So a testosterone deficiency is now known to cause diseases, benign prostate hypertrophy, and of course, initial stage cancers for the prostate. So again, it's a testosterone deficiency. In regards to everything else from a side effect profile perspective, I think I said this to you before, but I'll just say it real quick again. There are very, very few side effects when this is done correctly, when done under the care and guidance of a physician who has experience managing both male and female endocrine systems. So, realistically, I can't say that using therapeutic testosterone increases or enhances risk anywhere in otherwise healthy and aging population groups.
Okay, so you've talked a lot about the different benefits of the use of testosterone for a lot of different things. Now, is this a panacea? Is this something that every guy should take and it fixes everything? Or what's the role of nutrition and lifestyle in this whole picture? And where do you see testosterone therapy as fitting into that context?
Great question, my brother, regarding is testosterone a panacea? Testosterone is absolutely not a panacea. I'm very, very big and very outspoken of discussing this in all my literature, in all my podcasts. It's nothing more than an adjunct or an ancillary to what I call a fully dialed in lifestyle. My next book that's coming out is called Living a Fully Optimized Life, How to Break Free from the Sick Care Medicine System. And, a lot of people look at me as like the pro testosterone guy because I've written the amazing books on it. But truthfully, it's about natural optimization. It's about, mediating the biological war on our systems from modern day societal living. There's a lot of other factors at play. So testosterone is not a magic bullet. It is definitely not exercise in a bottle. It is not going to solve all of your problems. However, that said, if you are a man who is suffering from a testosterone deficiency, and there are massive amounts of men globally around the world, this is a massive societal-wide epidemic, as you're coming to find out. Guys, even like you, who are in amazing shape, who take great care of themselves, can even have lowered levels of testosterone. And again, this is due to the horrific environmental toxicity from chemicals, from particulates in the air that we breathe, from the plastic in the food, and the water, the bottles that we eat out of, to the endocrine disrupting chemicals that are now cross-linking, according to the research from Dr. Anthony Jay in his amazing book, Estrogen. So I do personally believe, unless you have supremely elite genetics, you're a type A anal retentive person who massively, watches every single step, dots every I, crosses every T, you're likely going to have to be looking at some form clinical intervention of therapeutic testosterone at some point in your life. And again, as we see it now, and the great doctors I speak with on a daily basis, we're seeing this necessary clinical intervention at a much earlier time, even guys in their 20s. But yes, absolutely. You should definitely look for natural optimization and alleviating, all of the risk factors and the things that could cause you to have a testosterone deficiency first and foremost. And of course, I'm not a guy that says everybody should be on testosterone. There has to be recognized symptomology, and then of course also backing up with lab work and blood work that shows that you have a deficiency. I think we've already talked about, understanding the difference between free testosterone and total testosterone, but it's definitely not a panacea, but it is an amazing, life-altering medication for men that have a clinical deficiency, which again is the great majority of men around the world now. And obviously, again, used in combination with a fully dialed in lifestyle, you can get some tremendous, amazing benefits: increased cognition, better fat loss, of course, better energy, a better sex life. So there's a million good reasons to use testosterone. But again, it's not something that's going to solve problems. And especially if a person is not willing to live a fully dialed in lifestyle, it's not going to do very much for them.
Talk to me a bit about aromatase inhibitors, because they're obviously very popular in the bodybuilding space, and a lot of people are sort of, they used to thinking of estrogen as something they need to inhibit and suppress at all times, because estrogen is sort of this feminizing hormone. It does nothing but harm. What's your take on estrogen and aromatase inhibition?
Thanks for this question, brother. This is my favorite topic to talk about in the current realm today of testosterone, therapeutic testosterone, and that is aromatase inhibitor medications and estrogen inhibition. I always defer to my good friend and potential business partner down the road, Dr. Robert Komenarek, who actually has delivered amazing research on this, and probably the first major lecture. Also in front of him was Dr. Neil Rougier of WorldLink Medical. Both of these guys have done a massive amount of research compiling this data. The majority of the bodybuilding / scientific / medical community has this all wrong, and they truly do not understand the benefits and the need of estrogen or estradiol, which is again a pleiotropic hormone in obviously male and female endocrine systems. They do not understand the importance of letting estrogen metabolize and the normal estrogen byproducts going through male and female endocrine systems when males or females are using therapeutic testosterone. The inhibition of estrogen, as you already mentioned, is an age-old belief that really stems from the bodybuilding cultures, where they thought that as a man was increasing his testosterone, especially from a competition and shedding of body fat levels viewpoint, you needed to suppress estrogen and increase testosterone. And we now know that that is completely, abjectly, patently false. You should never be suppressing your estrogen with a medication, because again, there's so many negative side effects that come from not letting the normal metabolism of estrogen. Again, all in the book, all in the many podcasts I've done. I definitely highly recommend everybody who follows or watches this podcast to go on my YouTube channel and watch or search the dangers of estrogen inhibition in men on therapeutic testosterone. It was Dr. Rob's lecture and me presenting it in a live webinar format. It's, again, very, very important that people watch that, but you should never suppress estrogen in men undergoing therapeutic testosterone because you just cause so many other downstream effects. You cause brain issues, you cause bone mineral density issues. It also blocks the losing or the reducing of visceral body fat. There are so many negative downstream effects of blocking or inhibiting estrogen in men undergoing therapeutic testosterone. It's crazy. And again, the majority of the clinical community has it wrong. They're giving men Arimidex or anastrozole to block the testosterone conversion into estrogen or estradiol through the enzyme called aromatase, and it's just all wrong. I haven't done a very good job in this question to you right now in answering this, but I'm very, very passionate about this. People can research what I've written about it. I've got a lot of other videos on there that I've spoken about this, but it is critically, critically important that estrogen is not inhibited. Now, let me just say this. There are, of course, as in everything in medicine, there's always cases and reasons for estrogen inhibition. There are some men out there that are outliers genetically who do over-aromatize. There's also some men that will probably, due to their obesity or their nature of having too much body fat, will also aromatize. So when you do use an aromatase inhibitor as a physician or as a clinician, you would want to use it in the minimum effective dosage necessary and titrate off as soon as possible. Again, because you do not want to be blocking all of the amazing, the amazing downstream benefits of estrogen metabolizing as a pleiotropic hormone. And again, highly recommend that everybody who watches this, our video, watches that video that's on my channel that Dr. Rob and I, because it's a very deep dissection of why you do not want to block estrogen in men undergoing therapeutic testosterone.
Hey there, this is Ari again. One more quick thing before you go. Just make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel, The Energy Blueprint, and also make sure to subscribe to this podcast on your favorite podcast platform, whether that's iTunes or Stitcher or anything else. I hope you guys enjoyed this interview, and I will see you again next week.